the economic development apparatus of the state. These are folks trying to attract new jobs, new companies, and to support the ones that are there. Well, this is where we really started to realize the value of credentialing, which is something Susan and Connecticut Dream It Do It is very passionate about. Articulating your needs through nationally portable and industry-driven credentials becomes the common language that helps us say what we need and helps an educator understand what that means. It helps an economic development official understand that, hey, you know, if I'm going to advertise to pull companies in, I can tell them how many certified people I have in, you know, whether it's welding or machining or any other skill set. Those national credentials become proof that a skilled workforce exists. So that's a huge, you know, feather in economic development's hat. And it also becomes something that the governors and the mayors and the political officials around the state can really use as a talking point to promote the state. So that's the engagement piece. You got to engage with, you know, K-12, higher ed, workforce development, economic development, and then the political apparatus. If you miss any one of those groups, you're going to find yourself in a situation where they're going to try to do the job for you. They're going to try to educate everyone as to what you need. The only person who's an authority on what we need are, I guess, I'm trying to think grammatically, is we. I think it's is we, but we are the folks who have to own defining what it is we need for the future, and we have to be proactive about it. Traditionally, at least in Nevada, the relationship between education and manufacturing was a little, it was tough. We had a lot of folks who were very good at pounding their fists on the desk and pointing fingers, and understandably so. When you have a dropout rate like ours, it's understandable why people are upset. But what we've really tried to do is say, guys, we have to be proactive. We've got to reach out our hands. We've got to offer our factories up. We've got to offer our energy and resources to show people what it is we really do and excite people. And we found in Nevada that when you go in to speak to a community college president genuinely, or you go speak to a superintendent or even a principal of a high school, simply to explain to them what you do, why you do it, and why it's so important for this state and this country, you're generally met with open arms. And so, you know, that's the engage piece. The second piece is the align piece. Manufacturers, as we articulate what skill sets we need, and we define what credentials, you know, prove to us that those needs have been met and we can actually hire somebody, the education system, both at the K-12 level and the higher, it has to adjust its resources to make sure that the programs and the curriculum that they're promoting actually coach a child or a transitioning worker along a path where they actually have a future career ahead of them. And so that's where the communication from the manufacturers, a group of manufacturers, Connecticut Dream It Do It as maybe even your intermediary to say, look, we have a lot of machinist factories in this valley. We have a major need for machine operators. The National Institute of Metalworking Skills has some very robust credentials that if you were granting those, we could put those people to work right away. And then all of a sudden, the demand that we're providing, higher ed understands, even the K-12 system can understand what those credentials mean, and they can start to align their resources, whether it's federal funding, state funding, or workforce development funding, to meet that demand. So, you know, after you engage, you've got to align. That's really, really critical, because if the alignment's not there, the system and the tax dollars are going to be funding programs that don't meet the needs of the job creators, and you're going to have a bunch of us looking for qualified people and a bunch of people who've gone through other programs looking for work, and we're going to continue to see this problem grow. And that's pretty scary, actually, when you look at the numbers. The third component, which is, I would argue, probably the hardest, is to communicate. We have a perception gap issue in this nation about what manufacturing is. Unfortunately, there's a lot of data to show it. Most people think manufacturing is dirty, low-level jobs, smokestacks, your employers beat you, you make no money. I mean, you know, the thing, I'm sure you all hear it all the time. I mean, I'm dumbfounded by the things I hear. Even sitting elected officials, no offense to the folks in this room, but who think, I don't want manufacturing in my backyard, I don't want smokestacks in my backyard. Well, they probably don't realize that 65 to 70%, according to a friend at Caterpillar, of the engineering jobs in this country are manufacturing jobs. All parents want their kids to be engineers, but they don't want them to go into manufacturing. So we all know that our factories are clean, we pay well, we provide benefits, we care about making things in this country, we care about the future of our communities, but the world doesn't know that. Again, speaking from the Nevada vantage point, most manufacturers put their heads in the sand, want to leave everyone alone, and just make their parts and not get in anyone's way and not have anyone get in their way, and hopefully the world will be productive. Well, that hasn't worked. Because we haven't shown up at the table proactively with all those groups I've mentioned, someone else has showed up at the table and set the agenda. And the agenda is definitely not in line with manufacturing careers. And frankly, it's not in line with the future that this country has ahead of it. I mean, we can't be a service-only economy. We have to make things, we have to mine things, we have to grow things, and we need talented people as technology evolves to do those jobs. And so, in terms of communicating, people say, well, you know, the school's got to do a better job about telling those kids about manufacturing. No. The schools, at least in Nevada, don't have any money. They're getting sliced. The teachers don't make any money. The schools don't have any money. Teachers union has plenty of money, but that's neither here nor there. The point is they don't have money to use on sophisticated marketing and advertising to all the different demographics of students to convince them that our sector is the sector to go into. Well, you know, the state and the workforce system should do that. That should be part of their training. Again, they don't have money for marketing and advertising and communications. There's no money in foundations for it. There's no money in government money for it. So then the question is, well, who's going to communicate this message? Everyone in this room. Me. The folks who provide the jobs, the folks who care about manufacturing, the people who understand that manufacturing is what makes this country strong, and that manufacturing represents the jobs of the future, the clean jobs, the high-paying jobs.